I kicked everyone out after my sister claimed my apartment was hers. Now I'm feeling guilty. I've been working long hours as a marketing specialist for the past year, trying to get my career off the ground. To make matters worse, my sister Amelia, who's always been very chatty and social, has been coming over to my apartment daily. At first, it was nice having someone to talk to, but now I'm feeling suffocated by her constant presence. I've found myself working from coffee shops or my car just to get some peace and quiet. My apartment used to be my sanctuary, but now it feels like a crowded, chaotic space. I've tried to set boundaries with Amelia, but she doesn't seem to respect them, which has led to a very strained living situation. The lie that changed everything. It was just another day at the office for me, stuck in a never-ending cycle of long hours and little personal time. When I finally walked through the door, I was exhausted. Amelia was here, like she usually is. She just makes herself at home without even asking, which I've grown accustomed to over the years. Or so I thought. As I took off my jacket and headed to the kitchen to grab a snack, Amelia casually mentions that my apartment is hers. I froze. What do you mean? I asked, trying to keep my anger at bay. I mean, I've been paying the rent and utilities for a while now, so it's technically mine. My mind was racing. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. That's not true, Amelia, I said, trying to reason with her. I'm the one who signed the lease and pays the rent every month. You're just a guest. But she wouldn't back down. No, I've been keeping track, and I'm pretty sure I've paid more than you, she insisted. At that point, I'd had enough. I couldn't take it anymore. The lying, the entitlement, it just clicked. I told her she needed to leave, and she did, but the damage had already been done. I realized then and there that I needed to take a stand and set some boundaries. I wouldn't let her walk all over me anymore. As time went on, I started to feel a growing sense of guilt over kicking everyone out. I couldn't help but think about how Amelia had genuinely believed the apartment was hers and how she had been living rent-free in my home. The more I dwelled on it, the more I realized that my initial reaction had been a knee-jerk response, fueled by frustration and anger rather than a cool-headed assessment of the situation. I started to wonder if I had overreacted and if I had been too quick to draw a line in the sand. I began to question whether kicking everyone out had been the best solution or if there was another way to resolve the issue and salvage my relationship with Amelia. I started to think about the countless times my sister had reached out to me for help and support, and how I had always been there for her. Now, I was the one who had essentially cut her off. I felt a pang of regret for not trying to resolve things in a more constructive manner, and I couldn't help but wonder what the future held for our relationship and how I could make things right. Looking back on everything that's happened, I've come to realize that there's a fine line between being understanding and being taken advantage of. I've given my sister so much space and flexibility over the years, and while that's part of being a good sibling, sometimes you need to establish clear boundaries. In this case, Amelia lied about my apartment, and that hurt more than just my pride. It made me question whether our living situation was actually beneficial for me or just a way for her to take advantage of my hospitality. I've started thinking about ways to communicate my needs more effectively and find common ground with Amelia. Maybe we can find a compromise that works for both of us, like setting aside specific days for her to visit or establishing a clear guest policy. But at the same time, I need to prioritize my own space and well-being. It's not about shutting Amelia out completely, but about being intentional with how I spend my time and energy. If we can find a balance that respects both our needs, I think our relationship could actually become stronger in the long run. I've come to realize that setting boundaries is crucial, and I'm sticking to them. I've rekeyed the apartment, and we're in the process of finding a new place for Amelia and her family to stay. Although it was a tough decision, I'm confident it's necessary for maintaining my personal space and sanity. I'm also making more time for self-care and prioritizing my well-being. Next step, healing and moving forward.